And straight away, we have some breaking news that's coming in here. The judgment on the validity of the Aadhaar is being read out at India's top court, the Supreme Court, as we speak. From the latest that we at Wion are hearing, Justice Sikri, while reading out the judgment, has said it is better to be unique than being best. That's the beginnings of the verdict on the validity of Aadhaar. It's the big focus here this Wednesday on World is One News. Justice Sikri, part of the 5-judge bench that's determining if the use of Aadhaar violates the right to privacy and should be struck down. We have Wion's political editor Karthikeya Sharma now joining us live for this big breaking story. Karthikeya, from that first initial readings of the verdict, it looks like this 5-judge bench is set to strike down the Aadhaar.
Yes, for the benefit of our viewers, and a majority judgment is being read out. It's not as if the judgment is being read out one after another in previous cases where judges are allowed to hold their view. But in this case, it's going to be it's being read out by Justice Sikri. Now, before I go to senior lawyer Sanjay Hegde from Supreme Court, let me read out certain portions of the observation or the part of the verdict. Like, for example, Justice Sikri has said, it's better to be unique than being best. Being best makes you number one, but being best makes you, Aadhaar has become the most talked about in the recent years. Aadhaar has been treated as unique. The court noticed Aadhaar is designated to give unique identity to its citizens. Now, he goes on to say it gives identity to everyone. Aadhaar can bring various, people together. Then he goes on to say that there's a difference between Aadhaar and other identity proofs. Aadhaar has a unique identification and cannot be duplicated. So, Mr. Hegde, thank you for making time for Wion. My question to you is, we can't prejudge the judgment, it's being read out. But what was at the heart of this controversy in context of privacy, data compilation, and identification of citizens in context of a number which many felt can be hacked into? Mr. Hegde.
There were various challenges. Fundamental, of course, was the right of privacy, and as to whether Aadhaar, with its cross-linking across various databases, violated the right of privacy. We still have not heard from the court and the majority judgment as to exactly what the ruling is. From my analysis of what's happening, according to various Twitter feeds, it does appear that Justice Sikri is discussing the various arguments which were placed before the bench. He has not yet come to the finding. But given the fact that there appear to be 3 judgments, one by the majority of 3 judges, one by Justice Chandrachud and one by Justice Ashok Bhushan, it appears to me to be a likely possibility that the 3 majority judges have gone in a particular direction, and the other 2 judges may either be concurring with that or dissenting in part. We shall have to wait and see exactly what is going to be held. These are preliminary thoughts, but I disagree with your anchor when he says that it looks like the Aadhaar will be struck down. The emphasis is on the uniqueness, not on being best. That, I think, may provide a clue to where the judgment ultimately goes. I would expect that even if the Aadhaar is upheld, there would be safeguards put in for citizens with regard to privacy and other concerns. Let us wait for the full judgment, and I think it's just another 10-15 minutes before we know the ultimate contours.
Hey, this is Krishna over here from Wion Studios. I'm joining Karthikeya on this broadcast. I stand corrected, Mr. Sanjay Hegde. I was trying to understand what the first moments of that judgment as it's being read out, when it say it's better to be unique than being best. It's an interesting observation, and it sounded like a double-edged sword, if I may. But can you help us understand, with this initial observations, what direction do you see it going? It's never good to to second guess the court. But if I may ask you, what direction do you think the court is going in, India's top court?
Well, I cannot presume to judge the judges, but the sentence, if you decode it, emphasizes that the uniqueness of the identity may be a better thing than being the best. So therefore, somewhere it seems to me that it might be saying that the best cannot be the enemy of the greater common good. That is an argument which the government has continually been saying, that most people in the country have accepted Aadhaar. It has provided an identity to the poorest of the poor, and to take the words of a popular columnist, all those who are opposing it are only wine and cheese liberals.
Mr. Hegde,
I must count myself among those who have opposed Aadhaar.
Yes, I know that.
Yes, Karthikeya,
Mr. Hegde, I was asking you that obviously it looks like the way he's going, let's not prejudge the judgment, but do you think that the privacy concerns can be taken care of within the prevalent architecture of Aadhaar? What exists? Is it possible?
I have spoken to many people in the tech field, and the way that Aadhaar has been hitherto used shows absolutely no concern for privacy. The state seems to think that it owns you, it can reduce you to a number and put you across various databases, all cross-linked, and can have a 360-degree vision of your life. What safeguard? The Supreme Court, this bench is bound by the 9-judge bench, which says that privacy is a fundamental right. How does it enforce privacy in this case is the question. It may be that the court may say that for certain welfare schemes a requirement of Aadhaar can be insisted upon, but it cannot be cross-linked, or let's see what kind of safeguards they put in within the existing architecture. Whether they will work is a matter to be tested.
Right. Mr. Hegde, if I may, I'm just quoting from the petition that's been filed against Aadhaar, and it says the state is empowered with a switch by which it can cause the civil death of an individual. That's not questioning whether Aadhaar data can be leaked or not. It's questioning the existence of a number to identify a citizen per se. I want to understand, what could be, the arguments against it to uphold the validity of Aadhaar.
Listen, you do not look at it merely as Aadhaar or upholding the constitutionality of any government measure. You must remember that various drastic steps, including bank nationalization, have been upheld, or taking away your property and giving you a pittance for a compensation. Courts traditionally bow to the wisdom of the legislator and the executive. They are charged with the task of interpreting the constitution and will strike down a measure if they find it to be constitutional. But they largely tend to be conformist, and they tend to bow to executive wisdom. The other example I could give you is demonetization. There have been several consequences about that, but the court has so far not interfered with it, and now it's too late anyway. The 9-judge bench on the meta principle of privacy has unanimously agreed that we do have a fundamental right to privacy. The question is in the application in specific cases. This court may yet hold that in this particular case, Aadhaar, the way it is used, Aadhaar may be valid. In fact, I am getting news that the court is satisfied that there is sufficient defense mechanism for authentication, but some provisions relating to authentication are struck down. Section 33(2) of the Aadhaar Act has been struck down. So it does appear,
Mr. Hegde, sorry I'm interrupting you.
The judgment will have a little bit of satisfaction for all.
Mr. Hegde, can you, for the betterment of the viewers, because you are also getting news directly from the Twitter feed, can you explain it to the viewers which section of the Aadhaar has been struck down and which sections have been retained, so that our viewers can relate to this, as a common story, because there are a lot of technicalities to the issue. Please break it down for our viewers.
The point is that I would not want to prejudge it. The fact is that we are not sure whether only one section has been struck down or there are other sections which are in the pipeline. So I would prefer to wait for a couple of minutes more. The section which seems to have been struck down reads that nothing contained in the previous sections shall apply to any disclosure of information, including identity information or authentic records made in the interest of national security in pursuance of an order. This is with regard to the request for disclosure of identity to others. I also believe we are getting news further that section 57 has also been struck down. 57 allowed the state,
Mr. Hegde,
and other corporate identities to seek authentication. So therefore, I suspect the way the judgment is going,
Mr. Hegde,
is to uphold the broad contours of the Act, but strike down individual sections which are obnoxious.
Mr. Hegde, just explain this. You said national security exception for disclosure of Aadhaar information as per section 33(2) struck down by judgment of Justice Sikri. So when you strike down section 33(2), what does it mean for our common viewer? How does it impact him, a common citizen?
No, for the common citizen, any requirement of disclosure of his identity is not available to the state. That is what it prima facie looks to me. I would not want to venture further, because in the absence of details, going by headlines sometimes can be misleading. Please, this is my statutory kind of disclosure. I am going by an immediate reading of headlines alone. I would advise everyone to just wait for some time as far as reading the judgment is concerned. But it does appear to me that the judgment of the majority leans towards a compelling state interest in disclosure of identities.
Mr. Hegde,
Mr. Hegde, while you may take just 1 minute. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
I got your point. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, because there's another news which is coming in. Section 57 of Aadhaar Act, which enables body cooperates to seek authentication, is unconstitutional. So they have also given a view on cooperates. Because if you remember, a lot of telecom companies had made it mandatory for citizens to give Aadhaar.
Yes,
so I think
absolutely.
the court has had a view on that.
Yes. Yes, so no telecom company, no private company can say, I will give you services provided you tell me your identity only through the Aadhaar mechanism.
But Mr. Hegde, what has happened?
This linking through the mobile phones, that has been struck down. I'm sorry, but I've been informed by my office that I am required in court. I would have to take a break.
One more question before I let go of. A lot of people would say that what is being sought by Aadhaar is something people actually freely with their own will give it away when it comes to Facebook, WhatsApp, all the social media applications, your phone, your identity, your data. So I want your view on this issue, that you know, there is a lot of scare about Aadhaar, but you give all that away voluntarily.
That is the question. Voluntarily. I may voluntarily opt to be on the Facebook or the Twitter or any other platforms. But the question is, can the state use its lawmaking powers to compel you? The problem is with compulsion. What does privacy mean? Privacy means that I can, if I so choose to, I can veil myself, or I can sit in my room curtained off from the rest of the world. I can also choose to come out. The essence is of choice. What was happening with Aadhaar was compulsion through the legislative mechanism. And there, when you have a fundamental right to privacy, you can say, I want to be left alone. I want to be apart as far as the state is concerned. As far as I do not do anything illegal, the state cannot constantly be peering over my shoulder using the non-invasive mechanism of Aadhaar.